The round one team lists are here. We're going to kick it off with the Eels and the Storm, guys. So exciting each and every year getting to see these teams. There are a few shockers, let's be honest. Guys that were hoping they were going to make the squads that aren't going to be in there. And I'm going to provide plenty of detail into each of these guys and potential output over that first few weeks, which is going to be super important. Is it going to be enough to hold these types of cash cows, especially? Are your guns fine? Are your value guys going to get exactly what you need out of them? All the questions we're going to ask, guys. So we'll dive into those there. Tomorrow we'll be going through a big full player Bible, my thoughts on all of them, especially all those cash cows and how they're going to go. I do have a live stream tonight with the private group and also Thursday night, just before that first game, where we'll really deep dive into a few of these players. If you want more information, I'll give you a good idea in this video, guys, if they're going to be a great option or maybe someone to avoid. If you want a deep dive analysis into all those guys, jump in that private group. Plenty of prizes and everything up for grabs. Eels v the Storm. There's plenty to talk about here. Clearly, always. The Eels, the biggest thing here is the back rowers. And the first thing we want to talk about is Bryce Cartwright makes his return back into a relevant option, really, in NRL Fantasy terms. It's been a long time since Cartwright has been the gun scorer of the past. He's had a few random games with the Eels, if we're talking recent history, but a lot of his bigger games came at 6, came in the back row when he was playing at the Panthers, for example. So Cartwright definitely comes into contention, but the big question mark here is what could happen. Thankfully, it is the first game of the round, but what could happen in that last hour before that game starts? We do have some options on the bench. Jack Murchie could come in for either Cartwright or Dury, who is our other solid option. Both of those guys, Cartwright and Dury, at 250k for your side. So I would probably be taking one of them. Just looking at a couple of the other guys that we're looking to pick up at the cheap price point haven't been named, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I think one of them has to be in your team. Which one will it be? Cartwright probably has a bit more upside, let's be honest. Dury has been an average NRL player at best at this point, and I hope that he's grown and got in, obviously, into the Eel system, which is great, and it gives him plenty of chance here to come out and do well. Cartwright has plenty of games in him above that 50 mark. Dury does not. Cartwright can also come out and get a 15 in 60 minutes there, which you'd expect for Dury to be about pretty stock standard around that 30 to 35 if he gets that 60 minutes. But let's look at that bench. So Momasia is an edge. Jack Murchie is also an edge who could play some time through the middle. I had a little bit of interest in guys like Makatoa as well. My main worry here is how many minutes will Greg get? He's not someone to be a big minute type of guy across his career so far, but this is a chance that he can get. You're looking at guys like Judah Bolo there and also Campbell Gillard, who are going to be that sort of 55-minute type players. Hopgood should be playing big minutes there, so he's a must-have in your side. But those two guys there, we're going to be splitting minutes here. And I'd say Makatoa probably gets 40. And I'd say for him, 40 minutes is going to be great to get somewhere in that mid-30s. And that's going to be the low end. I'd say low to mid-30s. And then the high end, probably a 45, just as in his base, if he can get an offload or a tackle break or something in there. That's where you can get that. So Makatoa, just over 300, I think is solid there as well. Cartwright and Dury, again, splitting hairs as to who you're going to pick. It's a little bit of a gamble on that one. And then they got Jake Arthur in the 18. I was really hoping for a few of these guys' sakes that Jake Arthur would come into the 14 role, which is still a chance. Obviously, we'll find out on game day there. And they're the first game of the round, which is very, very helpful. Very much the same with our other guys here and that of the Storm players. And what we did see here is some great namings, which is exactly what we wanted, of Will Warbrick. Those who are interested in Remus Smith was awesome as well. And then obviously Harry Grant being there, Trent Lioro and Eli Katoa. So very, very good result for anyone who was looking at both Trent and Katoa. Okay, let's look at the interchange bench there for those two guys and how many minutes do we predict they're both going to get. Ultimately here, you've got guys like Chris Lewis, who can play some time on an edge. Tyron Wishart is going to be your utility type of guy, so he can play a little bit anywhere. If there's an injury, he's going to come on for that one. Jordan Grant, Alec McDonald are going to be those forwards in there. So I would actually expect big minutes from at least one of them. So Trent or Katoa there to get that 80 minutes. I think one of them will get it. One probably plays 55 to 60 minutes. And I think either way, obviously, if you're only picking one of them, you want your guy to play the 80. But I still think either way, at 60 minutes for either one of them, or 55, whatever that's going to be, if Chris Lewis has spent some time on an edge, I think either one of them is going to do well. So just keep that in mind. Harry Grant, obviously a great option there. Munster as well. Hughes, I think I want to see him and how he plays going forward. Will Warbrick, he's in my side. He'll be locked in, whether it's starting or in the emergencies. Either way, he will be in my 21. So just be aware of that, guys. My team reveal will come out on Thursday, so you'll see it all. Anyway, Remus Smith, I just have him as a little bit too expensive to be a really important player in your side. Nelson Asafa-Solomona there. He is a important player in this side, clearly. So he's one of those guys that could get you a boom 55, given his price of 43, or he could be that sort of 40 to 45 type of guy that he does, that he ends up being a lot of the time. So does he step up? Obviously, the game's really fast. He's a huge body, so I wouldn't expect him to get any more than 55 minutes, guys. Just be aware of that. They're like, oh, you might have to play big minutes. Welsh should be more of that guy that will play the bigger minutes, and Josh King. They're the two guys. Nelson, obviously a bit more of an impact kind of guy. A couple of stints out in that field, a 30 and a 25, I would expect there. Joe Chan missed out, and he's in the reserves, guys, so don't stress about him as of yet. I think if you want to go Lioro or Katoa, lock them in. All right, that's the first game. Just remember, guys, that Dragons have a bye in this first one. That creates the even 8 games there. You got the Warriors v the Knights in the next one. And the biggest things to think about and look for here was CNK, Chancellor Klukstar. There, he gets that one position. If you'd like him at 372, I think there's worse options out there in the wing fullback position. You've got Tamate Martin there. He, obviously at 310, is going to be a solid pick for most people there, wing fullback and the half dual. I think his base stats is what sets him apart from some of the other cheap guys. So at worst, you can think of maybe getting a 25, which makes him a little bit of cash, but for him to go up that next level, he needs to run the ball a bit and obviously get some attacking stats, in those 30s and 40s there. So some games it'll be hard for him to get, and other games I think he'll get like a 25. So if that's enough for you in that wing fullback position or the half position, then go for it. Guys like Wade Egan, it probably looks good for him to be getting close to 80 minutes. So if you're looking at Wade, he's going to be pretty solid there for sure. Mitch Barnett, I think he's probably got a little bit of upside there, but not too much. Same with Niokore. Big question marks here is in this edge. So you can see in each of the teams we've gone through so far, there's plenty of contention around that edge position and plenty of value for us fantasy coaches. So with Ford, he's at 340 and has the dual position as well. What we're looking at with their bench is Walker playing some decent minutes through the middle, Bunty Afoa being a middle, Tom Ale being a middle as well, and then Josh Curran probably splitting some time on one of those edges. We did see in the trial, and this is probably how it's going to line up, that he came on for Niokore, who moved into the middle of the park. Ford and Niokore played close to that 55 to 60 minutes. And for Niokore, that's not going to be enough. We need him to play 80. But for Jackson Ford, the 55 to 60 will be enough with his work rate. So if you think this team is going to look something similar to what happened in that second trial, then Ford is a solid pickup for you. And he's going to make some cash, and he's going to be worth playing in your 17. So that's really all I need to say on the Warriors, apart from the fact that Viliami Va'alea, he unfortunately didn't make the squad. You got Braden Williami, which is very interesting. He comes in. I just don't see him as being an option in a team that's not going to be amazing. To start the year, they might improve, but he's never been a great scorer, to be honest with you. Okay, we move to the Knights, and obviously some excitement around a few guys like Lockie Miller, who I just think his base stats between tackle breaks and run meters is going to be enough for him to get his break even currently, and then any attacking stats on top of that are going to net him well to make you some cash. So Lockie Miller is going to be locked into my side. Yeah, just a solid player. Loves the ball in his hands there. A few people talking about Bradman Best there. I think that he's okay. I'm probably I'd be leaving him out personally. You got Kalen Ponga, again, an okay option, but a risk. Jackson Hastings, I think he will still have a great start to the season. I'm projecting about a 50 for the opening part of the season, and that gives you about 5 points of value there. And at that cheaper price, if you're not going with Adam Dewey, then Hastings or Sammy Walker are going to be your guy. Didn't see enough from the Saifidi brothers. I still think Brayley's a great option, guys. If you're looking at him as a cheaper option in the hooker position, then he's going to be great also. Unfortunately for Adam Elliott lovers and owners, I do like him as a player, but unfortunately he's on the interchange bench with Kurt Mann in the 13. So Elliott's coming back from injury, guys. Just be aware of that he might end up back in that 13 role. But at this stage, we're going to leave him out. He's not going to be making that side. Anyone's side is what I meant there in the fantasy world. Fitzgibbon's on the edge there. Don't look at him. Frizzell's half an option for sure. And then they're interchanged. So they've got their utility guy in Crossland, and then they've got Hetherington, who could play some time between edge and also middle if he needed to. Elliott will play middle, and Leo Thompson will be one of their forwards there. So Elliott and Leo Thompson working through the middle, and Hetherington being that guy that could split between, and Crossland the utility. In terms of reserves, not too much to think about there. You've got Brodie Jones in there. It looks like he's missed out, unfortunately. So that is that game there, guys. Hope you're enjoying this. If you haven't seen much of me before, hit subscribe, guys. There's plenty of videos coming out each and every week. Looks like there's going to be over 10 videos a week on Fantasy, 1 on Supercoach, which will be fun as well. Panthers v the Broncos. So we were hoping for a nice, cheap outside back in Jesse McLean, and that wasn't to be. This makes a lot of sense that Taruva gets first crack. He deserves it. He's been playing great. Obviously played great for Fiji, and he has done a good job when he's played for the Panthers in the few games that he has. So just unfortunately that Taruva is just too expensive, I think, to start the year with, guys, especially with the buy in round 3. I'd rather go for To'o over Taruva. And very high chance that To'o is going to go to that left side, Taruva on the right, with Crichton there, Tungle and Brian To'o on the left. I still think Cleary is an amazing option, guys. Most likely going to be my captain to start the year. And if anyone's watching the Panthers documentary, it's very hard to keep a lot of these guys out of your side watching that, that's for sure. Leota and Fisher-Harris really dominating through that first episode for sure. Mitch Kenny, guys, we got Sonny Luke on the bench, so scrap Kenny. He won't get the minutes that he needs. He needs 65, 70 plus to be worth it in your side. Garner gets that spot, guys, and we see Hosking in the 18 jersey. So really, I don't see any smoke and mirrors here. This is kind of how we thought it would line up. Hosking next, cab off the rank. If there's an injury to Martin or Garner, we'll see Hosking. I did want to see Hosking there just because he does score better. I still think Garner's going to be great, guys. He had a bit of a shocker in the wet in his first game for the Panthers. New team, in a bit of a cauldron in that first game. This will be a tough game against the Broncos, but he has a lot of NRL experience and it's going to be dry. I think it's going to be completely fine for him. So I wouldn't be stressing about taking him in your side. Sonny Luke there, great amount of talk about him going to be getting 40 to 50 minutes coming on in about that 30-minute mark, and having Mitch Kenny move into the middle. Give Sonny Luke that time to apply his craft and his trade there in the hooking role, which would be great. If he can get that, then you'd expect at least a 25 or 30 out of him, which makes him plenty of cash at 250k. And any injuries to Kenny, then looks like he would get some bigger minutes. And their middles are going to have Sorensen, Lenu, and then Jamin Salmon could play a little bit everywhere as well. A little bit of time through the middle. He could play, obviously, in the halves as well, which is great. So any injuries to there, I think they're pretty solid in that position. Very tough to not see Eisenhuth, Hosking, Peachy in that team, but shows how stacked the Panthers are. So yeah, that's them. Moving to the Broncos, Selwyn Cobbo gets the 1 jersey. Reece Walsh is out for round 1, guys, so scrap him from your teams. Cobbo, I wouldn't be jumping to pick up. He probably will score well. They are against the Panthers there, so I think just leave him out. Katoni Stagg's a great option. Herbie Farnworth also solid, but a little bit too expensive, I think, especially when you can pick Staggs there. Jesse Arthur's a cheaper guy. Should do well, but not in this game, I doubt. Ezra Mam, a solid option as well. Same as Reynolds. Mam is improving year in, year out. He was great in that trial on the weekend as well. And then you got guys like Jensen, who I just think they're too expensive. Payne Haas, most likely in my side. He's going to have a great year, I think. Ricky, Capewell, avoiding them guys. Carrigan is going to be a great pick as well. So score somewhere in the 50s for you. In terms of their interchange, you got Palacia, Flegler, and Tapau going to come through the middle. So you'd expect big minutes from Capewell and Ricky. The question here is, how many minutes do guys like Payne Haas get? How many minutes does Jensen get? You probably expect about 40, 45 from Jensen, which can be covered by guys like Tapau. Haas, Carrigan, again, somewhere in the 60 mark, so maybe there's 20 available for Palacia and sort of 40 or so for Flegler as well. So just minutes-wise can be a little bit difficult to predict as well with the Payne Haasses and the Carrigans as well. There will be games where they both play some really big minutes, but will that be in round 1? That is a good question. So just be aware of that if you're looking to pick Haas and Carrigan there in that squad. Okay, Eagles and the Dogs there. I will be at this match, a brookie, which is going to be fun. Dad's a Manly fan. My brother's a Dogs fan. So that'll be fun there. And obviously I'm a Cowboys for those that aren't sure. But the Eagles there, there's plenty to talk about as well. We see Cooper Johns get his first game. Gets his first chance. And the biggest one people were thinking about was KO Weeks. And he actually ends up on the interchange bench in number 14. So is he an option? I personally think you can wait and see the type of role he's going to play. Is he going to play the type of role that Dylan Walker played through the middle there and sort of getting some decent minutes and being able to show his skills? Let's find out in round 1 and make our decision from there. I think that's going to be the easiest way to play it. In terms of guys that'll play some decent minutes off the bench, it's really only going to be Josh Aloiai. And you look at the number 13 role, Kepi gets that. I think Aloiai can easily play that 13 role and Kepi could get it. Question marks around him. He has never really scored well. If he gets some decent, big minutes, like a 50-minute role, then of course we have to pick him up. But again, we don't know. And I think you can just hold off on guys like him, Tuolangi there, and other guys potentially I think are good pickups as well, like Kohler and DCE and Tom Trbojevic. There's a lot of guys that definitely have some interest, but I'd like to see how they play first. The team had a shocker end of the year. I want to see how they play. I want to see how the individual players play as well. And then we can make a decision on those guys there. In terms of reserves, not too much to talk about there. They're not guys that are going to be fighting too much. It was really just Gordon Chen Kum Tong, who was potentially going to play that 14 role. Again, he could move into that now, but I expect most of the time, this round one teams, unless there's injuries, this is how they're going to run out, just to give as much prep as possible. Okay, unfortunately, we've got some news on Luke Thompson that he is out, so that changes a few things in this Bulldogs pack. I actually thought we were going to get Jacob Preston, which was the talk. The talk was him definitely getting a round one start, but now it sounds like, Falmanu Brown's going to get. So New Brown sneakily gets the 13 role. If you look at his price point, he's over 400k, which is way too much, I think, with his role not being real clear. Preston is someone I'm still interested in, because you look at this interchange, guys, and you've got Jaden Tanner, who wouldn't have played unless, Luke Thompson was out, and he is. So Jaden Tanner comes in. I expect limited minutes from him. I'd probably expect a 40-minute role from guys like Preston, because guys like Pele, maybe a 30-minute role. Still 30 minutes, guys, for Franklin Pele is going to be worth it. We've got TPJ and Thompson out for probably the first 3 weeks. We'll find out more on Thompson in the next day or so, hopefully, as to how his injury was. We did get helped off the field by 2 guys, so be aware of that. Pele will be good enough with 30 minutes. But again, if we're talking minutes-wise, guys, Tanner and Pele, probably not big minutes. They're 2 middles there. Corey Waddell can cover some edge, which, does RFM play the full 80? Not sure. I can really see Preston coming in and playing some time through the middle and potentially on an edge for Raymond Faitala-Mariner. And really, I think that gives him enough juice, enough sort of minutes there to get the points that he needs. So Preston, I think I'm potentially locking into my side. But hopefully find out a little bit more on Luke Thompson and we can make that decision. Still a risk, obviously, guys, but he's someone that the Dogs have massive raps on. And if there's any injuries further into this team, especially the edge guys, then he'll be the first cab off the rank and someone that you'll want in your side. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. If we're looking down the line, you've got guys like Ryan Sutton who come in with a little bit of value, extra value now. Do we think he's going to get the same amount of minutes? I think so. I reckon about that 50 mark gives him a decent amount of value. He's a little bit up and down. He could get you a 30, he could get you a 50. So if you want to go someone a little bit alternative in that low 400s there in the mids, then he can be that type of guy at the full 40 mark. So that's that. Cheeky, for sure. Max King, I'm expecting some big minutes out of him for the first couple of games as well, which will be cool. Reed Marnie, if you're interested in him, no issues. Alamotti, I think you lock him into your sides, guys. Looks like he's locked that spot down like we spoke about. Hayes Perham, a little bit worried on the other hand. How's he going to go? If he comes out and goes great, he'll keep his spot. If he doesn't, I can see him losing it to Averillo. They can do a few different things in this squad. Matty Burton, I still see him as averaging that mid-50s there across the season. How he'll go from the start is my biggest question mark. How the Dogs will go. When the Dogs start playing well, he will score incredibly well. He'll have 70s and 80s, but does he get 30s and 40s at the start? Will you take the risk? I'm probably not, but you can. Interesting team, that's for sure, with all the injuries. We go to Cowboys and the Raiders, guys. Big thank you all of you for watching through the preseason as well. I'm absolutely loving doing this video. There's plenty to talk about as always. Okay, with those Cows, Scotty Drinkwater, a great option in your side, guys. Other than that, really, you're looking at Reece Robson. Will he get the big minutes in the Townsville Heat in these first bunch of games? That is the big question mark for him. The Raiders guys won't be doing it. They'll be splitting between Danny Levi and Starling. Will Robson play the big minutes, or will he split it a little bit with Granville? Big question mark. Not sure. We'll probably find out. We definitely will find out. Are you going to take that risk? I'm personally not at this stage. Very similar with Cotter. I'm very interested with him. There's talk that he'll play 80 in some games. Awesome. Will he do that in 30 degrees in the first few weeks? Probably not. So I think he can hold off on Cotter. And if things go the way that we hope them to be, I think really every third or fourth game he'll play that 80 minutes or close to it, right? 70, whatever it is. And score absolutely incredibly. But can he take the risk to get him from the start and hope for that? Or wait a little bit? I'm indifferent. Obviously, I want to try to get a Cowboys guy in my team. And he's probably the guy I'm looking at this point. But for this stage, it's probably a no. I'm not exactly sure, though. And then very interesting as to how they were going to play that 14 role. It looked like it was always going to be Granville. They did well with him there last year. Everyone was talking about Rapana in the 1 position. He said he came out and didn't want to play it. Getting a bit old. Wanted to stay on the wing. So Seb Chris is going to be there. There's no interest in Seb there. He hasn't really had a lot of practice there, to be honest with you. So let's avoid him for now. Harley Smith-Shields end up in that 4 position. So how does this work? Does he get that spot for the first 6 or 7 weeks with Xavier Savage out? I think so. What happens if Chris doesn't go too well? Does he go straight back into the centre position? Who comes in and plays that fullback position? Do you pick one of these guys in the reserves? I don't think so. Do you pick their interchange? No. It's probably going to be moving around here. So Harley Smith-Shields could probably move from centre to a wing at worst if Kotrick takes it or however they want to play it. But Harley Smith-Shields in the centres, I think, is going to be a solid pick, guys, at 250k. So have him in your mind as well. Jamal Fogarty is going to be a good pick also. Probably a 50 to 55 type of average. So a little bit of value there. Not too much, but something there. And I think he's going to be solid with the goal kicking and everything of the like there. Joe Tarpany gets the 10 roll, guys. If you want him, I think you lock and load. He's going to have a great season. I'm going to want him at some point. Most likely not at round 1 at that price. I mean, there's so many good mids and edges at the moment I'm going to avoid, but I think he's great. In terms of the interchange, Emre Gula, Horsburgh, they're going to be their two main middles. And you got Mariota, who I don't know a lot about, actually. You wouldn't expect big minutes out of him. It'd be Horsburgh getting the big sort of 45 to 50 minutes, and then Gula probably that 35-ish, and then, Starling and Danny Levi splitting that, and Mariota, splitting, taking someone's minutes there, whether it's a little bit of Corey Harawira-Naara, whether it's a little bit of Whitehead, they'll work that out from there. Okay, moving down the line there, we've got a couple more games to go, guys, with the Sharks and the Rabbitohs. The last game on Saturday night, very exciting, but unfortunately we don't get to see Nico Hines, which a lot of people were very interested in. Trindle's just been named, and there was talks of him potentially playing and going through a fitness test, but he obviously failed that today. So unfortunately, he'll be out round 1. Looks like he'll be fine for round 2, guys. So I would personally hold off on Hines. Either go a little bit cheaper in the halves position or pick Cleary. Whether you go Adam Dewey and Tanner Boyd for round 1 and save a little bit of cash to go to Hines, or you just go straight to Cleary. You can make that decision yourself there on that one. But in terms of the other guys in the Sharks outfit, really, how much is there to talk about? Probably Teague Wilton. That's about it. Looks like here they've got 4 forwards on the bench, which makes it a little bit tough. Does he play 65 minutes? How many minutes does Finucane play? Hamlin Ueli isn't going to be a big minute guy, which is ideal for those guys. But there'll probably be a mixture of Jack Williams, Kafusi, and Graham playing like that 30 minutes each, and then McInnes getting that 50. So Wilton can still probably play close to that 80, and he's still very much an interest in my side, and I think he should be an interest in your side as well. They've got all the young guns on the reserves as well. So again, not too much to talk about them until they make a side. Bunnies, on the other hand, I still think Isaiah Tass is going to be a good option. Isaac Thompson got that spot. Do you pick him in your side? And hopefully he scores well in round 1 and keeps that spot over someone like Tane Milne. Make that decision. Say you're going to do it. Cody Walker, I think, will have a good season, a better one than last year. But do you take him at the start with their tough draw? Lockie Ilias, I think, again, has some value, so he could be a solo on your side. Totola is going to be a good one as well. I think he's going to score really well in these opening weeks up against some tough opposition there and getting plenty of base stats. And you've got guys like Damien Cook, who's going to be a keeper all year. Cam Murray as well. Do you build your team around Cook or Murray or both? Interchange. So we got Taff as the utility, which is ideal for minutes for Murray, for example. Shaq Mitchell, Davin Wiley, Michael Cheekham, all not big minute guides. So expect Murray to play some big minutes early. There's no Jacob Host. So I think this really actually helps guys like Murray, guys like Totola, in these first few weeks. They have guys like Hame Sele, who unfortunately did not make the side, carrying that little bit of an injury. So does Davin Wiley get the minutes that we're looking for in this first few weeks? Nowhere to be seen as anyone of note that's going to play some big minutes. So really strange that Jacob Host didn't make that team at all. So I think Murray really benefits from this, guys, and Totola. So just be aware of those two guys. Davin Wiley will be good as well. Okay, last couple of games here. Dolphins v the Roosters. Not too much to say on the Dolphins side. I still think Hamiso is a trap, guys. I'd be avoiding him. Isaiah Katoa, I think he's going to be someone that you just need to plug in your side. He's going to have some ups and downs. He'll have some 15s and 20s, and then he'll have some really good scores. So just be aware of that with Katoa. Gilbert, I think, is a little bit of a trap as well, guys. And then you've got Nichols, who's unfortunately got the bench position. Don't know if it matters too much. Him and Jared Wallace, I think, are playing just as well as each other. So either way, one of them was going to get on the bench, but they'll play similar minutes there. Ray Stone gets that interchange spot. Kurt Donahue, SCSE, Nichols, Stone. So plenty of middles on this team. How many minutes are they all going to get? That's my worry with guys like Stone. I could see probably 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But again, we're going to have to find out how that looks. Anthony Milford in the 21 jersey, but yeah, has been axed, so I doubt that he's going to be making that side at all. And then the Roosters, guys, Teddy's going to be an awesome option, guys. I'm definitely interested in him. Corey Allen gets the 4th position, unfortunately with Joey Manu out just to start the year. Looks like it'll be a game or two for Joey, so yeah, we weren't going to start with him anyway. So look to him from round 5, 6, 7, that type of style. Sammy Walker's definitely an interesting one. I think he's going to do really well. Moving to the halfback position, he did well at the back end of last year, so think about him. Suali'i, he's going to be solid as well. Again, do you want to pick him? First game in the centres? Probably not. Brandon Smith, guys, in terms of interchange, all they've got is Drew Hutchison on the bench, so I would still expect 60 minutes, 65 minutes from Smithy. Depending how the game's going, if they're smashing him, he'll come up early for sure. Loves, scoring a try or something like that, then getting his ass off the field. So that's it for Smithy there. Egan Butcher, I still find is going to be an awesome option. Most likely going to be in my side as well. If you're looking at the interchange there, lots of middles, and they're going to need that, and with Drew Hutchison being the utility. So I'd expect Egan and Nat to play close to 80. Radley splitting a few minutes there, 20 or so with some of them. Lodge 45 to 50. Same with Collins. Smithy taking a bit of a break. So Egan, Nat, lock them in for 80 minutes, and both going to be good options in their side. Su Wong is on that reserves bench, and same with Turpin. Turpin could come in at any stage, but if they just go with Drew, who I think deserves the spot, then it's going to be fine for those options there. Okay, let's finish this off. Tigers v the Titans there. If you're looking at the Tigers side of the ball, Tommy Talau gets a spot outside Dewey, which is going to be great. Naden deserves that as well. He had a really good preseason. Dewey, I think, is a great option. Tommy Talau with the dual position probably needs to be in your size now that Jesse McLean didn't make it. Utoikamanu, I still think that he's a little bit of a trap. How many minutes is he going to get now? What's going to happen with Bateman when he comes back? He should be on that edge. And that's the next biggest question as well. After Utoikamanu, I think that I'm not sure that he has the legs or the minutes that he's going to get, that 40 points or close to it to make enough cash, unfortunately. 38 points, whatever we need him to get. I think he's a risk, but if you want to go for it, that is okay. He's less risky than Sean Blore, but obviously at a much higher price. So Blory should score well in this first game. In terms of guys to take a few minutes from him, we've got Asul Kapoa, who showed that he has plenty of ability, which is good. Offengawi will play pretty solid minutes. I wouldn't expect crazy minutes, given he's coming off a little bit of an injury. Papali'i will get the 80. Clem will play big minutes. Coruscant should play some decent minutes as well, but he's got Simkin with him to cover that. So when you've got Simkin to cover a few Coruscant minutes, that means just decent minutes for all the other guys. So Uto, can he get the 50? That's the big question mark there. Twal, Pole, all guys that can play some decent minutes through the middle. So that's that. Blory, again, just a slight worry on him there, but Seyfarth is not named, which is good for his prospects. Blory will score well in round one, well enough to make your starting side, which is going to be good, but will you play him and will you select him? That's the question. All right, Cam Pereira, he's in the Titans side like we thought he was going to be. If you want to pick him, I think his spot's fairly safe. Like, he's had a really good preseason as well. Getting that 4 tries in that game was lovely. So I think if you want him, no stress with getting him in your side. Tanner Boyd as well, lock him in for the season. Verrills will be solid. He doesn't really have anyone to take minutes off him, which is good. Fafita's going to be good as well. Same with Tino. And then Aaron Clark named on the interchange bench is absolutely painful for those guys that want to select him. He won't get the mid-duel now. And minutes-wise, is he going to get 45 or 50? That's the question. You got Mo Fodawaker there as well for a big minute middle. Isaac Liu, I think, deserves his spot anyway. So how they're going to rotate Isaac Liu in a little bit in the middle. You'd imagine Clark in at 13 as well. Are they going to be the huge minutes for Asula Malaawi that we're going to want or need for him to get in your side? Jolliffe, probably not big minutes, 40 for him. And then you're looking at Mo Fodawaker taking probably all of the rest of his minutes. A couple of Tinos, 10, 15. If you can do that, then Tino's going to be great. You've got Aaron Clark to split minutes or so with Isaac Liu. Stimson, does he get a chance to take any minutes off a feed or something? All the big question marks there. But that's the video, guys. I hope you really enjoyed team list in round one. Thank you so much again for being here in the preseason. If you're looking to join the private group, guys, you've got a couple of days to get in there to be eligible for half the prizes. Links in the description. Hope you enjoyed it. See you later. Good luck in round one.